Okay, guys, welcome back to the book of Luke. Today we're in Luke chapter 1, 46 through 56. And this is Mary's response. Remember the context here. Mary is with Elizabeth at Elizabeth's house. She traveled 70 miles to see her, and Elizabeth pours this tremendous blessing out on Mary and talks about how the Lord who sent the baby is the baby, and the light goes on for Mary, and she responds with this beautiful, beautiful song. So go ahead and pause the video and read Luke 1, 56 through 66, and then we'll work our way through it, and we'll see what we can find out about Mary and her faith in God based on this light going on in her head. All right, go ahead and pause it. Okay, welcome back. Mary bursts into song, verse 46. Mary says, "My soul glorifies the Lord, my spirit rejoices in God my Savior." Soul and spirit there, same basic concept. Notice that she says, "In God my Savior." Was Mary perfect? Did Mary ever sin? Yeah, she did. She needed a Savior, just like I need a Savior and you need a Savior. Verse 48. "For he has been mindful of the humble state of his servant." Remember earlier in the chapter, Mary said, "I am your servant, I am your slave girl." So Mary's saying that God recognized her and favored her because of her humility. "From now on, all generations will call me blessed." So even Mary begins to realize that this is crazy. This is unique. Everyone from now on, almost like a prophecy, of Mary saying, "From now on, everyone's going to remember my name." Verse 49, "For the mighty one has done great things for me. Holy is his name. His mercy extends to those who fear him." Mary tells us three character traits of God here. He's mighty, he's holy, and he's merciful. Because God is mighty, he can incarnate and rescue us. Because God is holy, he has to do something. God either has to destroy us or he has to rescue us. He has to save us. Because he's holy, he has to do something. Number three, he's merciful. So that answers the question of his holiness. Am I going to kill them all or am I going to save them? Because he's merciful, he's going to save us. So Mary brings out these three crucial character traits of God that all work together. Because he's mighty, he can become the baby. Because he's holy, he has to become the baby. And because he's merciful, he wants to become the baby that's going to save us all. 51. He has performed mighty deeds with his arm. He has scattered those who are proud in their inmost thoughts. This is almost like a Romans 1 kind of thing. They've been given over to their thoughts. So Mary's saying the people that are rejecting God, they're being given over to wanting to worship the creation instead of the creator. As Romans 1 teaches, God's sort of abandoning those. He's scattering those. 52. He brings down rulers from their thrones, but he lifts up the humble. So the contrast. God brings down the rulers, the kings, the princes, but he lifts up the poor, the humble. 53, and by the way, poor is probably a better translation than humble. 53, he has filled the hungry with good things, but he has sent the rich away empty. Again, continuing with her contrast. He has helped his servant Israel, remembering to be merciful to Abraham and his descendants forever, even as he has said to our fathers. So Mary takes it all the way back to Abrahamic covenant. She remembers what she's learned growing up, that God made a covenant with Abraham, and in that covenant God said that I am going to bless you through the seed or the offspring of Abraham. And Mary begins to realize that this baby inside of her is that seed. He is the fulfillment of the Abrahamic covenant from over 2,000 years ago. So Mary, it's all clicking with Mary. She's recognizing God's mercy, his power, his sovereignty, and all of these things that, and again, remember, God's been silent with Israel for over 400 years. God has not spoken through a prophet or anything to Israel for 400 years. And now Mary's realizing, okay, this is it. We didn't know this was going to happen. We didn't think this was going to happen, but God is showing up. You never know when God's going to show up. Ends with verse 56. Mary stays with Elizabeth for about 3 months, and then she returns home. The takeaway for us is straight from Mary's mouth. God's mercy extends to those who fear him. God's mercy extends to those who fear him, to those that are humble. God doesn't save the good and reject the bad. What Mary's hymn teaches us is that God saves the bad if they will humble themselves, if they will fear God. All of us are bad. All of us are wicked. That's what the gospel teaches us. We're all more wicked than we ever imagined, but we're more loved than we ever hoped. And so what Mary's telling us is when we humble ourselves, when we fear God, that's when God reaches in and saves us and rescues us. And that's the beauty of this story, and that's the beauty of the incarnation. All right, tomorrow we'll pick it up from there, and we're going to see Zechariah sing a song of his own about his son and about God using his son, John the Baptist. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you tomorrow.